Throughout the day, we've been talking with the candidates for mayor about issues surrounding housing, homelessness, addiction. In a moment, candidate for mayor Kevin Klein. We begin with Global's Marnie Blunt, speaking with some of those in the know.
We have a crisis in our city.
Homelessness is another topic at the forefront of the upcoming civic election. Advocates say the city is in dire need of low-income, transitional and supportive housing, something End Homelessness Winnipeg wants all levels of government working on.
Housing supply is I think the weakest pillar and the pillar that we need the most concentrated effort to truly impact and address chronic homelessness in our city.
And some advocates say council needs to look at addressing the root causes behind homelessness, including addiction and mental health.
The drug epidemic has been the greatest pipeline into homelessness. So many people have lost so much and have spiraled into homelessness. Is it poor mental health and addiction? Is it addiction and poor mental health? It really doesn't matter. The end game is the same.
Marion Willis of Street Links. It's a tough issue, no easy solutions. Lots of shared jurisdictions between the feds, the province, and the city of Winnipeg. Kevin Klein is a candidate for mayor, and he's with us live on 680 CJOB. Kevin Klein, how do you begin to approach this issue with so many layers on it?
Well, I think you said it best. There are multiple solutions necessary to address the crisis that we're facing with homelessness in our city. And I've been calling it a crisis for a while. And, you know, I think we have to admit that it is at that crisis level. We have to take action and pull many levers that are available to us. And one of the levers that I've talked about since the beginning, and I'm hearing others now talk about tiny houses and so on, but I've already done that with Homes for Heroes. I would also pull a lever to bring in accommodation trailers with the federal government. And this is being used in British Columbia, Ontario, and now in Eastern Canada. And then we would get the funding from the federal government and the province to have social workers on site, because this will allow somebody to have their own place, to have a key, to lock up their stuff, and to have an address. And before you can even get somebody any employment assistance or funding or into programs, they need an address. And they need the dignity of having an address. And the accommodation trailers will work. This is the best and most efficient immediate action that we need to take and that I've promised to do as mayor. We also have long-term solutions that we have to put in place, but we have to remember this is going to take all four levels of government, the municipal government, province, federal, and our Indigenous government leaders to be a part of the solutions.
And that is sometimes difficult to get everyone to the table. Then there's the red tape. I recall doing an interview with officials from Homes for Heroes, and this took years. Why does it take the city, Kevin Klein, so long to enact something that seems so simple?
Because we have no leadership at City Hall that knows how to direct staff, that knows how to direct or give objectives and give milestones. I was the one who worked with Homes for Heroes and made sure they didn't leave the city of Winnipeg. It took me years to convince council to work with them. And in the end, we had to buy land. Every other city across Canada is giving them an acre of land for free, because think of the money that they will save by dealing with our homeless veterans. We know it's $80,000 to $100,000 a year in cost for every homeless person. And we fought with Homes for Heroes. That's that type of leadership that Brian Bowman and Gillingham and the rest gave us. We can't have that anymore. We need to allow people with solutions to come in and help us solve these problems.
What makes you think that you're the guy that can, for example, get the province, the feds, and Indigenous leadership around the table and make things happen in a timely fashion?
Because I've done it before. With Homes for Heroes, I brought the province to the table. I got them to support Homes for Heroes. I was in the meetings with Homes for Heroes. I fought for that project because I believed in it, and I can do the same at the federal level. I've talked to people already at a federal level about pulling these levers. I've already talked to other jurisdictions that are doing the accommodation trailers. I've done my homework. I know how to do this work. I know how to bring people together, because that's what I've done my entire career. And I will make this a crisis on day one after being elected mayor. there. And we will pull the levers necessary to begin working on this. And we know, we've heard from Marion Willis. I heard Glenn Murray say that she was advising Glenn Murray, and that's not accurate. So I've had conversations with Mary, and I know that there's 4 pillars to address: prevention, enforcement, treatment, and harm reduction. And we have to do the part that we're responsible for and advocate hard and work with, not against, not blame, but work with the other levels of government to get action. It's happening in other cities. It can happen here.
With candidate Kevin Klein for Mayor Richard and Julie on 680 CJOB, how do you feel about harm reduction, not just safe spaces, but safe supply? It's up to other levels of government, but you, as a candidate, how do you feel about that issue?
Well, here's what I've learned in talking to professionals in the industry, is that harm reduction or safe supply, we also have to note that, a lot of people are talking about supervised injection sites or safe injection sites. But what makes them safe and what makes them supervised is being able to have staff available to help that person. Because if a person that is suffering from that illness, an addiction illness, says at that moment, I really don't want to do this, you have to be able to do what they did in Vancouver and get them into a treatment center right away. So that partnership and that decision has to be made by the province. And that we have to work with them to say, well, if this is the solution, you have to do your part.
And right now, candidate Klein, they're saying no. Would you advocate for those safe sites and that safe supply? Because some of the people that we are talking to saying the game is different now. It's different from 2 and 5 years ago. You've got people dying, 427 last year, probably more this year, simply because the fentanyl is laced with who knows what, and they're calling for drastic solutions to a drastic problem.
Well, you know what I've talked about before, Richard, and it's a good point, is I want to bring people with life experience, people in the industries, in the health professions to the table all together to talk about the various solutions, various issues that we're having and the best approach. And I will advocate hard for the provincial government, the federal government, and our Indigenous leaders to be at that table. Let's listen to the people that are capable and have shown they know how to get success. They know how to help individuals, and let's work with them. Leadership is about getting the right people at the table, getting the solution, and supporting them, supporting the solution.
And I understand that, but it's also answering the question when it's asked. How do you feel about safe supply, sir? Are you for it or are you against it?
You know what? I want to bring everybody to the table and talk to them about it. It's not fair for me to tell you my personal opinion on this. Everyone has a personal opinion. But I want to know the facts. I want to know exactly how it will help. I want to talk to people at a table that have lived experience, and I want them to say, this is the best approach, and I will support their decision. But no politician has the experience or the education to walk in and say, this is what's going to fix it, and I'm going to do that. You have to sit down with the people that know and make the right decision.
All right. Kevin Klein joining us here live on 680 CJOB.